All right, everybody, and welcome back to BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. We've got an interesting and a valued opportunity to talk to Sergey Bort. How are you doing this morning, sir?
Good morning. I'm good. Happy to be here. How are you?
I'm doing well. First of all, let's introduce yourself really quickly, what you do, and then we'll get right into how what this is all about, if you would, Sergey.
Yeah, of course. So my name is Sergey Bort. I'm on the executive team at GP Transco, which is a mid-size trucking company out of Joliet, Illinois. And my title is the VP of Marketing and Strategic Business Development.
Fantastic. Another one of us in the industry talking about, but I'll tell you one of the main reasons why you're here and to talk to us. We've been discussing the politics, we've been discussing the military aspect of the Ukraine, and I tell you what, you bring to another viewpoint, and that's the humanitarian and the human side of this whole story, right, Sergey? I mean, that's truly what you're doing. You're trying to change lives in a different way. It's not by politics. It's not by military pressure. It's by aid. Correct?
Correct. Yes. Essentially, what I'm trying to do, what we're trying to do is we're looking at what's happening in Ukraine, and adding publicity is important, but money, being able to send a country in need who is under completely unjust invasion at this time can really go a long way, I think. So what we've been trying to do is to raise awareness among the trucking companies in the U.S. about how they can contribute to humanitarian aid to Ukraine today. So that's what we've been up to for the past few days.
What are some of the organizations that you're helping to support over there in the Ukraine?
Yeah, so the three places that we're pointing people to make charitable donations, and we're pointing people to do that at tlpu.net. TLPU stands for Trucking and Logistics Professionals for Ukraine. It's Save the Children, UNICEF, and the Red Cross.
All
But
three very yeah.
in order to join TLPU, we also state on the webpage that you can really donate to any organization that's aiding Ukraine. If your choosing is just these three are ones that we know well, and we know that they are very secure and they're quite effective. So that's the ones we suggest.
Yeah. What is your specific tie? I was reading your bio, and I really would like for you to just tell us a little bit what your special interest is in the Ukraine at this time.
It's not really so much a special interest, I guess. Kind of like our CEO said, and when Freight Waves was writing about what we're doing a few days ago, and they asked Dominic, our CEO, about it, and he said that we really don't have ties to Ukraine. GP Transco doesn't have an office there. We're not Ukrainian. It's just that it really is. It's unjust what's happening there. On a personal level, my wife is Ukrainian, so I'm watching. I'm watching her on the phone with her mom. Her mom is in Kiev right now, in the capital of Ukraine. She's in an underground shelter type thing, and her mother's partner is in his middle 50s and is out fighting for his country. So it's really something to see. So seeing that every day kind of makes you, automatically a little bit more involved mentally in what's happening over there. So it makes a person sit down and wonder, what is it that can I do from my end? Because when you're so far away, it's almost it's kind of daunting. Like, what could you possibly do from all the way here in the U.S.? And then I remembered that I have a lot of connections in the trucking industry from the years that I've been working in this industry. So that's where I am right now.
I was watching some. I read your bio and read your report yesterday, and so what it did was I sat down and I watched several reports yesterday on the human side of what was going on in the humanitarian need and the crisis that's happening over there. It was, man, it was a tear. You watch it for a little bit, and then you just realize how devastating what's going on over there, and the human lives and the human suffering that's happening. I saw that as almost as many as 2 million already have been displaced in Ukraine, going into neighboring countries as refugees. 2 million in a very short period of time is a lot of people. And I saw that as the trains come out with people, they were packing those trains with supplies, medical supplies, with food. Can you imagine? And as I was thinking about it, there are no shops open. There's no grocery stores open. There's no regular businesses open. There's no medical supplies to go get. What you're helping to do is resupply a much needed, important stuff to these people. And as I was watching it, I just realized how much is truly needed out there. And I think these three organizations that you've pointed towards do a great job internationally and are very effective in how they do business. And they're recognized world over. I mean, I truly, there's not anybody in the world that doesn't recognize these three organizations that go that. And I feel for your wife's mother there in a shelter. And I pray for her and I pray for them that are there. How much feedback have you received thus far since starting this drive?
We received some good, a good amount of feedback. People we haven't received any negative feedback, which is in the trucking industry not all that common because there's a lot of criticism in the industry and social media. If you go and read about what, anytime a trucking company goes and makes a post, there'll be a lot of people on there, a lot of drivers on there that are, talking about it negatively, kind of, sometimes without fully thinking it through even. But with this topic, it's been very positive, just like it's been a bipartisan issue on the news. No matter if you turn on CNN or Fox News, everybody seems to understand that the correct side to be on in this case is Ukraine, and what's happening there is unjust. So we've seen good feedback. Social media has been extremely helpful with this. I've been also in talks with a number of publishers in the industry that I've worked with, and all of them have been sending more carriers our way and more logistics companies our way, and other companies are reaching out to us on their own, asking how do we join TLPU. And it's been really great to see. It's nice to see people wanting to get involved. And regarding what you said earlier about the three organizations that we're donating to, and again, humanitarian aid is extremely important. But one of the main reasons, to be honest, as to why we're using these three organizations is also because every American company knows who they are. There are a lot of scam organizations right now, unfortunately, who are pretending to collect money for Ukraine, and really they're basically stealing people's money. And I know there's a lot of concern about it. So if you come to an American company like who's on our list here that's participating, someone like NFI, for example, and you tell them, hey, folks, we're doing this thing. Would you consider donating? They probably would not consider it if it was some kind of a smaller charity that no one's ever heard of. On a personal level, when my wife and I are donating, we're making donations directly to Ukraine via some of these small charities that we know are effective and we trust ourselves. That almost all of the money directly goes straight to someone in Ukraine who needs help at that moment. But unfortunately, that would be almost impossible to sort of explain to a bigger company considering donating $30,000, $40,000. So that's another reason why those three big organizations are the ones that we recommend to go to. That makes sense.
I saw that, Sergey, and I'll tell you that I was watching some of the stories coming out of there in regards to some of the people leaving, and families are being ripped apart, right? Because no men are leaving, only women and children are basically leaving. No military age man is allowed to leave right now, and nor I think most of them are wanting to stay. And these families are being torn. They're leaving everything they have, and the people that are there have almost nothing to grasp a hold of, and don't want to leave. And it's their home, right? It's their home. Why would you want, even though it's difficult and even though it's dangerous and even though it's your home, and it is important that we continue to support these people. Over there, the Ukrainians, because it is, like you said, it is an unjust war. But whether it is just or unjust or however you look at it, they need help. And as you've put this together, how can we reach out and how can we talk? How can we get the information we need to? What website do we go to? How do we reach out? Tell us a little bit about how we can, as a group, as a country, and as a trucking organization, how can we help?
So the place that we've put together in order for trucking and logistics professionals to come together and aid the people of Ukraine, and also perhaps be highlighted for their much needed contributions. It's tlpu.net. TLPU.net is the website that shares very straightforward information about here's the 3 places we recommend donating. Here's some news that we've been at, and here's all the participants. So far, we have a little bit over 20 participants. We've been able to collect about $400,000 so far, and that number I think is going to pretty quickly keep growing. I'm expecting to hear back from a number of other organizations that have been in touch with me last week about how they can contribute. I'm talking to some of the largest fuel networks in the U.S. in our industry that are talking about doing some really cool, really great things as well. So I think this week we're gonna be doing even better. But again, tlpu.net, and I'm glad to hear you say that. Yes, it's very hard to imagine what it would be like for our actual home country to be invaded. I mean, realistically, this would be equivalent to tanks rolling into Washington D.C. Where I live, it's Naperville, Illinois. It's kind of a smaller Chicago suburb. And my wife and I were talking yesterday. Just imagine everything around us, essentially being bombed all around us out of nowhere within a matter of days. It's almost too ridiculous to really wrap your mind around. And when you really try to think about it in those terms, that the places that you love, the little shops that you go to, the people that you see at the grocery store and everything else, suddenly being thrown out of their homes, suddenly having to go pick up arms and go fight, and imagining that happening here kind of helps put things in perspective a little bit more. I think it really hits a little bit more close to home.
Yeah, you paint a really good picture of what's going on, and believe it, I truly believe the world is watching and is feeling it. It was overwhelming, the support from the United Nations to what's happening over there. But even if you're just an individual or a truck driver or not necessarily a large corporation or a company, you can still go and give, right? You can still do a small part, because it plays a big, overwhelming part, right? It doesn't matter. You don't have to be a big company to go give, right? For what's going on.
Yes.
And I just want to make sure as we go out there and we talk to everybody, and because we talk to owner operators, we talk to insurance people, we talk to drivers, we talk to a whole group of people, and each individual needs to realize they have an opportunity to change what's happening over there in a small way. It may not be a lot, but anything can help. And if we collectively get together, we can make a big difference, right, Sergey?
Absolutely. My own background is I was born in Russia, actually. I lived in Russia until I was about 6 years old. And then my parents and we moved to Israel, and we lived in Israel until I was about 14 years old. And I've seen what it's like for a country that is completely surrounded by its enemies being able to stand their ground and come out of situations that seem insurmountable or whatever, completely impossible, purely due to being motivated by survival, by nationalistic sort of pride, not necessarily in the typical kind of way, but again, more about the sense of surviving. So I'm completely confident in the people of Ukraine, and you're very correct about individuals being able to donate as well, and it would be a huge help. I'm personally speaking with larger carriers because that's just kind of the world that I know pretty well, and I think if I'm able to get $10, $20, $30,000 from various carriers very generously and continue getting that support from them, it would be incredible. Personally, I would recommend that if you're an individual and you're not one of these larger or mid-sized companies, you're not like GP Transco, you're not like NFI or anything like that, I would recommend for your donations to look elsewhere for making these donations that would go directly to the people of Ukraine without having a third party such as the Red Cross there. because those amounts can go kind of a longer way, I would say, and can get there maybe perhaps more quickly. One place that is extremely good for that, the website is comebackalive.in.ua. Again, that's comebackalive.in.ua. I'm not affiliated with them, but they are a great organization that sends money directly and very, very quickly to the people of Ukraine without having a nonprofit in between. So if you're an individual, I would recommend doing that, because TLPU, it's more for the larger and mid-sized carriers to donate larger sums of money in bulk.
Sergey, I truly want to thank you for coming on and telling us about this important opportunity for everyone to get involved in helping, right? I'm not talking about sending arms, and I'm not talking about going out and fight, but I am talking about helping, sending the Band-Aids and the food and the things that matter each and every day to those that are there and suffering. Remember, there are still small children. There are still women. There are still families trapped underground, hiding out, trying to survive day to day, and needing our help desperately in any way that we can. Look around and see how fortunate you are, and then realize there are those that are in need, and it just was that fast that their worlds were turned and their lives changed for a long, long time. And it's going to take a while for them to rebuild and to fight. They still have a long way to go, and they still have a lot more suffering to do. And I do appreciate you and your message. I truly appreciate what you're doing, and I hope that you continue to gain and gather momentum in your support for what you've got going on. Man, I want to applaud you for what you're doing, and I hope your mother-in-law is safe and your wife's family continues to be safe going forward.
Thank you very much, and thank you for having me. Really helping with public relations and getting a little publicity like you're doing. It's non-trivial. It goes a long way. So thank you very much for doing that. And again, if any carriers are here listening, tlpu.net, join us. It's a great cause. It's really great to be able to help people in need. And thanks again.
Absolutely, Sergey. We're going to send you this interview on LinkedIn. We're going to make sure that you can broadcast it as well and get the word out and do whatever it is you need to do, because I truly believe this is a message that needs to be heard. And I thank you so much. Have a great day and Godspeed, okay?
You as well. Have a good one.
Hey,
Bye.
you too. You know, that's Sergey Bort, giving us a very important message as he just talks about his personal involvement with his family over there and his wife's family, knowing full well that it is all about helping one another and being what we can. There's a lot going to be going on. This is a story that is going to develop over time. It is going to be something that we're going to have to watch. We talk about it a lot, and we mention it a lot here on the show, because I think it's very important to realize